Hey, what's up? It's Tuesday. It's Dominic D'Angelo. It's Rumor and Innuendo. I am of adfreeshows.com, SEScoops.com, and brassrainmedia.com. Check it out. But I am here with Mr. Robert Karplis, WE Creative _ish. And Robert, I have my Pizza Hut glass. How are you doing today? It's a cup.
Wait, did you just admit that you stole a cup from Pizza Hut?
No, I found these.
Well, then that's good. That's great. I was worried there for a moment that you may have absconded and admitted to a heinous crime.
Mm-hmm.
But it's Tuesday. Glad to be here for Rumor and Innuendo. We'll say hi to some of the folks joining us here today. Hey, E says was up. So clearly it's a day of the week. Willie Thornbrew says being the OTC is good work if you can get it. I don't know. He still had to go to Birmingham, Alabama.
Wow, good points.
Yeah. So Dre Owens, happy Tuesday. Bailey versus Lyra was very good. Completely agree. EM says Naomi's comment was hilarious. Not quite sure what comment that was, but sure. And Mark Marin, not that Mark Marin, the one with two R's, said, I made it. Another beautiful day in the Northeast. Love it.
Wrestling Old Head also has a great wrestling streak continues.
Yes, great wrestling streak continues. Raw last night was a great exercise in pivot.
Yes, it was, Robert. Explain a little bit. Give your context to all that.
Well, there was this guy named Seth Rollins. I believe his middle name is Freakin. He was injured at Saturday night's main event. They had to move things into a different direction. And rather than us coming here today on a Tuesday saying, woe is me, what is going to happen at SummerSlam? There's no Seth Rollins. They're directionless. They're rudderless. They're in trouble. It's, hey, we're getting Gunther and CM Punk. And good news, Roman Reigns is back. Right. So WWE always good at that kind of pivot. You know, for the longest time, there, in case of emergency, break glass was Brock Lesnar.
Right.
Now, seems to be Roman Reigns.
So do you think even if Seth didn't get hurt, Roman wouldn't have showed up last
night? My suspicion was that Roman Reigns was probably tapped to return at Saturday night's main event in some form or fashion. I don't think that this came totally out of nowhere, or if it wasn't going to be Saturday's main event, that it was always planned for Raw. Roman is not a guy who just, hey, you give him a call and he's going to be there that afternoon. There's a couple of factors at play when it comes to Roman Reigns. Number one, his schedule. He does have a lot of things going on outside of the direct realm of WWE. I think he's actually part of the Street Fighter movie.
Yes,
if memory serves me correctly. Number two, you want to make sure that he's in ready to go condition. You know, he hasn't wrestled since WrestleMania, and that was back in April. Here we are in July. Obviously, you're going to be in good shape, but there's good shape and there's TV ready shape. And we know that he does have an underlying health condition, which means you want to make sure that you're screened and checked and ready to go. So I'm sure this was in the works in some way for a while. There had been some rumors that it was going to be Roman Reigns and Braun Breaker at SummerSlam. That Scott Chaplin had talked about that a couple times. So now it kind of feels like we're going to get some sort of a tag team situation with Roman and Jey Uso versus Braun Breaker and Bronson Reed.
Perhaps. Yeah, I was curious about that when the show was closing out, what they were going to go do, if it's going to be straight up Braun and Roman, or if they were going to do tag action. I'm almost a little skeptical on maybe having another tag match because you already have Randy Orton and Jelly Roll with Drew and Logan Paul.
2 nights, my man. Two
Good
nights.
Point. Good point.
So we now have some answers as to what we are going to be getting at SummerSlam. You know, we didn't get a chance to cover Evolution yesterday. So you know what Hunter did? You know what Paul Levesque did? Said, good news, I'm going to give you an hour and 45 minutes of Evolution Part 2 on Monday Night Raw.
He sure did do that. Real quick, Robert, since we didn't get to cover it yesterday, what was your big takeaways from Evolution 2 and favorite matches?
Well, I'd need to pull up the
Here, I can pull it up.
It's all right. That's why I'm here.
Okay.
I Evolution
Just
2020?
best producers biz. I was on the ball.
I thought you would have had it up and ready to go, but we're good. As Wikipedia tries to ask me for more money, I'm on a different computer than normal. Otherwise, I'd have my notes up. So it opened with that Becky Bailey Lyra Valkyria triple threat match, which I thought was a very strong match, and did leave you with the idea of, you know what, I would love to see either version of Becky versus Bailey or Becky versus Lyra. WWE clearly telegraphed that, picked up on it, and that was the takeaway we had. Lyra Valkyria has been building a tremendous amount of momentum. She really is one of those NXT success stories when it didn't feel like it was going that way when she first got called up.
Mm-hmm. Right. I think it's been a developing process. To make an NFL comparison, she's kind of like a Lamar Jackson. She seemed like a late pick in the first round of everything, and you got to develop that project. And she's coming into her own right now. I think that was evident at Evolution, and then I think it was evident on Raw this yesterday too. As
Well, at first she was just sort of, she's a bird, but she's also a person, and they were just like, well, you kind of sound like Becky Lynch, so we're going to make you the new Becky Lynch Jr. And over time, she's come into her own, and part of that has been delivering strong in the ring.
Mm-hmm.
It was great to see Judgment Day retain, just because you want all of Judgment Day to have that gold until such time as Liv Morgan returns.
Yes.
And I know we kind of predicted, hey, are we going to see Charlotte and Alexa Bliss get the gold? Because that duo, that pairing is kind of working.
Mm-hmm.
But there's a story to be told with Judgment Day. So I think that you want Liv to come back and be angry that everybody is friends with Roxanne. Tiffany Stratton, Trish Stratus, they kept it short. That's a plus.
Yeah.
Trish, it's kind of like the Goldberg compliment, which is there was nothing objectively embarrassing that happened in this that would have made you be like, I don't know. The placement on the card that this took place before the Naomi match telegraphed, hey, we're not getting a cash in here, and that this wasn't the conclusion of the night meant, yeah, we're not getting a cash in there. It was a nice little thank you, Trish moment.
Right. I thought it was good. For what it was, I appreciate it. I thought Trish did a very good job at, still looking relevant, still being credible enough in the ring. And Tiffany is amazing. So I like the finish too, that Tiffany got the clean win against her.
Yes. Jade Cargill, Naomi with Bianca Belair as a special guest referee.
Mm-hmm.
A couple things surprised me. The finish didn't necessarily surprise me. I assumed that Jade Cargill was going to win because WWE always feels comfortable with beating whoever has the Money in the Bank briefcase. They just assume, like, hey, they got the briefcase, they'll be fine. The insertion of Bianca Belair into this as the special guest referee was sort of surprising because she's definitely not impartial.
Mm-hmm.
And it felt like we were telegraphing a Bianca heel turn to reveal that her and Naomi have been working together this whole time. And we didn't get that. Right. So maybe there'll be falling action this week on SmackDown, but that was a part of the match it was like Chekhov's Belair. Why is Bianca there? What's happening? We didn't get an answer. The Evolution Battle Royal.
Mm-hmm.
It's tough because we did have the Casino Gauntlet Battle Royal on Saturday on the women's side, which I thought was excellent. This was a very good match. Battle Royals are tough.
They are.
You have a long line of entrances, which kind of depletes the crowd a little bit. And then everybody's all bottled up at the same time. I've talked to a number of wrestlers over the years. The thing they hate the most are Battle Royals because you don't want to accidentally move your arm or move your leg and hit somebody and cause any kind of actual injury or damage. So you're kind of confined. You can't really move around. The way they generally do that is you have an order of things. So this person's going to go. When you see them go, that means you're next. Mm-hmm. So it's a lot of people trying to pay attention to their spots, stay out of the way, and monitor everything else that's going on. It's a little bit of air traffic control-ish. Stephanie Vaquer, I always say it wrong.
You got it. Second time's a charm.
Second time. Yeah, Vaquer. she's an absolute star. Friend of the show, Kevin Kellum, just did a piece on that for Sportskeeda. We got to get Big Kev back on soon to promote his show that's coming up in August in Chicago.
Chicago. Listen, Robert, real quick though, this was one of my favorite battle royals I think I've ever seen. I liked it.
I thought it was great too. The problem is when you have 2 days in a row of essentially 3 battle royals total. I mean, the Casino Gauntlet's more of a Royal Rumble, but you get my drift.
Right. Yeah, but I liked it. I thought certain stars got to highlight themselves, and stars we weren't very much attuned to. If you don't follow NXT, they got their moment in the sun. I thought Kalani Jordan had an amazing, fun spot too that made her relevant, and so everybody got a little bit of showcase. And I think the rightful person
she did. Ending with Last Legend as opposed to Nia, who's always sort of the anchor in those. Nikki Bella getting eliminated and not being in the final. And I thought it was going to probably be Nikki simply because we didn't know what we were getting in that main event.
Right.
And dare I say, top 3 match of the weekend.
Ooh. Io Sky and Rhea Ripley?
Io Sky and Rhea Ripley for me was a top 3 match of the weekend. Nothing on Saturday night's main event obviously was going to really come close to that, but that was furthering of storylines more than anything else. If you look at All In, I really enjoyed the, obviously the Omega Okada match was really fun. The Young Bucks tag match was really fun. And then I would put this above the Tony Storm match.
Okay. Yeah. I would have to agree with you. I think, Robert, the crowd was fired up. And like, it just showed, it was a really, really good showcase for Io Sky as being just such a great wrestler. And then the finish, obviously unexpected and surprising. It mixes in the entertainment aspect of it all. I think it's just a all-encompassing, great wrestling match.
I thought it was I thought it was a hell of a match. I think that crowd, I would have been concerned if I was WWE because you're putting a babyface match in your main event, and that audience was game for, we're going to cheer for both. We're going to make Rhea feel like a big star. We're going to make Io feel like an underdog champion. The Naomi cash in, they were excited to see the cash in rather than necessarily being excited for her.
Mm-hmm.
And it was a finish that made sense. As soon as she got involved, the triple threat immediately becomes no disqualification. They found a way to cheat Rhea out of beating Io, which she's never done. They found a way to cheat Rhea out of being women's champion going into SummerSlam. You've now set up a scenario where Naomi's avoiding going after having to deal with Jade Cargill. And then Naomi pointing out on Raw, boy, this booking didn't make any sense. Have fun, guys.
Look, I think it was the event of the weekend was Evolution 2. And they didn't need all that promotion. They didn't need, anything to really hype it or, of course that would help. But I think they were confident in what those women could do on the card and them closing out the whole weekend. And they sure did it, I think, Robert.
Yeah, I thought this was, I thought it was really strong. It was a good way to end the weekend. And it felt like it gave you the feel that you wanted, which was, this was not a great women's PLE. This was a great PLE. Yeah. And you kind of forgot that it was a novelty show in the same way in watching Raw. You forgot that it was almost all women's matches and storylines for the vast majority of it, simply because they were compelling. They were moving the story forward, and everybody felt to some degree like a star.
Yeah, 100%. And hey, speaking of, Naomi kicked off Raw. She's your new women's world champion after cashing it in. And she cut a promo. It was fun. And then Rhea Ripley comes out. So does Io Sky. And Adam Pearce comes out too and interject himself in the segment. And we will have a triple threat match for the title at SummerSlam. What do you think of this as the follow-up, Robert?
Yeah, that seems like the logical next step. Again, another triple threat match means that it's not only a women's title match, it's a no disqualification match, which makes it a unique novelty for SummerSlam. I wouldn't be surprised if there's not a push to make this one of the main events.
Yeah,
the lack of a Rhea Ripley main event at WrestleMania, I thought was somewhat damning.
Mm-hmm. It's a good point.
And it's the best they can come up with. Just as Brian McDonald here says, Robert, I just wanted to say that I find your WWE coverage very creative-ish, and then apologize. Sorry, that's the best I can come up with. It's what we got. We're good. What I thought was also really good was Naomi acknowledging the crowd is cheering, because I think they're just excited. Hey, there's a new champion. She's there. And then her being like, nope, I hate you all.
Yeah.
And then shifting immediately back to Rhea and Io, who's constantly the, don't forget about me.
Yeah. Rhea's really good. I mean, Rhea's good on the mic, but Naomi's really good on the mic. I like her a lot.
EM clarifies that this segment was where Naomi made the comment to Io, the "I don't understand what you're saying" comment.
Yeah.
Yes. Sometimes they do treat Io like Groot, where some people can understand what she's saying and some people can't.
Well, the women's matches carry on as we had Kabuki Warriors taking on the Judgment Day. It's the Judgment Day getting the win after a little bit of help with Raquel Rodriguez and Roxanne Perez. Perez gets the win against Asuka, the pin win. What do you think of this match to kick things off for Raw?
This was a good match. I think that it felt like there was a way, if this was non-title, you could have had the Kabuki Warriors win to get a rematch for it. But instead, it's the idea that Roxanne and Raquel are finding a way to work together, that they won in unity of cheating, which was okay. Kabuki Warriors, if they would have won, it's like, okay, but then what?
Right.
Then it would have made that four-way the night before feel moot. But the fact that they were not involved in the pin, that it was the NXT team that wound up getting beaten, frees up the possibility that you could get to an Alexa and Charlotte versus Judgment Day match at some point. Kabuki got their rematch, for lack of a better term. Now we can go someplace else with it. I didn't mind Raquel a little late on getting the foot up to help proper, but it furthered that, and it also furthered the Dominic Mysterio doctor's note stuff with AJ Styles.
I'm really enjoying that. I also really enjoyed this. It was a 2 out of 3 falls match. Bayley taking on Lyra Valkyria to earn that title shot, that Intercontinental title shot against Becky Lynch at SummerSlam, and it's Valkyria who defeats Bayley 2-1. I love this match, Robert. I love the finish too.
Yeah, this was so 2 out of 3 fall matches are generally stupid. This one, no different, in that someone's going to wind up getting pinned in the old Survivor Series rules, where it's if the 4-on-4 or 5-on-5 matches, guys that would never only get pinned by a clothesline get pinned by a clothesline. And you had that here. It's like lightning fast pins to move things forward. It made it feel epic. It gave Bayley a little bit of saving face. I think they really turned it up. Cole goes so over the top with his ebullient love of Lyra Valkyria. It is kind of funny, but this was a good match. It was a good finish. I think Lyra and Becky at SummerSlam is a good match, and definitely fuels Bayley's further, like, I'm not getting my revenge on Becky like I want to get. I'm not getting a match on SummerSlam. I'm gonna burn the world down in some form or fashion.
Yeah. I'm enjoying this. I'm intrigued to see where it goes. How about Becky coming out in the red and yellow too?
Hold on, Devin Dowling, continuing his hot streak of bad takes, says every world championship match. I don't know what that is. Every world championship match should be 2 out of 3 falls. What every old school wrestling fan says. No. Next thing you know, you're going to want to bring back a judge's table.
Don't want that. Yeah. Robert, next up, we had another women's match. It was Nikki Bella, Chelsea Green. Nikki Bella gets the win here. Pretty fun stuff. Secret Service, I enjoy a lot. The spotlight's been on Piper Niven too. I like what they're doing with her too.
Piper Niven's fantastic, and I think that yes, the Secret Hervis situation. By the way, Hervis definitely sounds like the last name of like an offensive coordinator for the Arkansas Razorbacks.
I was thinking it was almost like an annoying little brother like Ferguson, and Clarissa explains it all.
Well, Ferguson's Ferguson, but Coach Hervis had the following to say. Well, we gave our all in there against Clemson. They're a tough team, they're tough folks, and we're going to get them next time. We're going to learn. I'm talking the way your sleeves would. You leave Conrad alone. I said enough mean things about Birmingham last night, which mainly just comes from my being a Gator and disliking, Alabama. Anyway, this was a good way to ensure that Stephanie Vaquer is going to be in the spotlight going forward, because clearly she's going to be married to Nikki Bella for a little bit. Maybe even they bring in Brie Bella and we get a 6-woman tag to go up against Chelsea and Alba Fire and Piper Niven.
I'd be all for that. I'd be all for that. Hey, I was all for this Gunther promo. He's great. I enjoy him. And I was all for Paul Heyman and Braun Breaker confronting him and teasing something that could happen, but ultimately did.
I love how Gunther's has now shifted solely into feuding with Jews. First Goldberg, now Paul Heyman. This was a great little promo to highlight, again, the pivot. We saw it a little earlier in the night with a Paul Heyman backstage segment where Jackie Redmond was asking for an update on Seth. And it was, we'll find out about Seth. Let's talk about Braun Breaker. Let's talk about how great Braun Breaker is. Braun Breaker is the next big thing. Braun Breaker is the guy who rules the yard. He's the big dog. Like, he's a Steiner. They're clearly shifting the spotlight to look at these great young guys that we have, and then him confronting Gunther all of a sudden made you realize Braun Breaker and Gunther is something we would happily sit down and watch.
Oh, 100%. Definitely. Even at SummerSlam, it would have been great too, I think.
It would have been great, but I think, when you have Gunther being an evil heel and you have Paul Heyman being an evil heel, like, they're both just being dicks. And guys,
hey,
when you enter the room dick first. Blue Chew isn't just a tablet. It's a cheat code for your crotch. Stronger, harder, longer lasting, like someone gave your downstairs a pep talk and a gym membership. Blue Chew is what was that?
Coach Hervis did.
Blue Chew is the original brand offering chewable tablets for better sex. Listen to Coach Hervis, guys. It isn't just about performance. It's about legacy, or third legacy. Give her group chat something to talk about. When you lay it down, they're talking about how it gets up. Nothing makes you more of a legend than a little Blue Chew. Discover your options at BlueChew.com. We've got a special deal for our listeners. As always, get your first month of Blue Chew free. Just use promo code RUMOR at checkout and pay $5 for shipping. That's it. Join Blue Chew's mission to upgrade humanity one thrust at a time. Head to BlueChew.com for more details and important safety information. And we thank Blue Chew for sponsoring this episode of Rumor and Innuendo. Blue Chew is certainly what you need if you're going to be running the gauntlet. Ooh. And Braun Breaker ran that gauntlet, Dom.
Yeah, that he did, Robert. And man, yeah, quite the showcase for Breaker there. He started off with Penta, and they went back and forth for quite a while until Breaker caught him with a spear out of nowhere from a springboard, eliminating him, and then bringing out LA Knight. Real quick, what did you think of the in-between between Penta and Braun? What do you think this signifies for Penta, if anything? Is there concern there?
So first of all, I like Derek Hubbard's comment right here. It says Gunther's self-satisfaction in the "Who is next" line was beautiful. That was great. That was a great capitalization of, I just beat Goldberg. I've retired him. Let me just remind you all that I'm a jerk and I'm your top heel. Braun Breaker beating Penta. It was fast-paced. That spear was absolutely incredible. I'm a little worried how comfortable they are beating Penta.
Mm-hmm.
And then potentially just feeling like another guy, but we'll give it some time before we see what's going on.
Right. Yes. And then we had LA Knight.
Yeah,
we did.
Yeah, you know what happened there? They beat him.
They beat him?
Quick, clean, decisive. Yeah. There was a tiny kernel of fear on my part that they were going to say, you know what? LA Knight did just beat Seth Rollins. Maybe we ride the hot hand and we do LA Knight and Gunther. And thankfully, someone took the ether rag away from Hunter and that giant nose. And they were like, yeah, let's not do that. Let's have Braun Breaker beat LA Knight clean. Love it.
Well, I will say that LA Knight got a huge reaction there in Birmingham.
Yeah. Well, people are dumb. Case in point, Wrestling Old Head says, did you hear that Dave Meltzer calls to question the validity of Seth's injury?
Yeah, I heard that.
What is Meltzer doing?
I don't know. What's
like, because here's the reason why that is remarkably stupid. if Seth were to if they were to stage that Seth Rollins injury right then and there in that match, you've now taken the Money in the Bank briefcase off the table, which potentially could have had people tune out of Saturday night's main event. There were people that may have been tuning in thinking we're going to maybe see Seth Rollins cash in later on. But the fact that it ended in such an uncomfortable way, and then you got that quick LA Knight pinfall, and that there was no follow-up for LA Knight the next night or on Monday night where he's like, I beat Seth and now I'm the number one contender. I think Dave has gotten the ether rag.
Well, did you hear there was speculation that this was a red herring kind of injury where Seth actually got hurt a little bit ago, and they decided to use this to get away from it, and then he'll be a surprise later on. Earlier on, he'll cash in much earlier than expected, obviously, because we'll think he'll be out for a long time, but not really the case. It seemed like a tangled web that got woven.
Jey Uso took on Braun Breaker. I can't deal with we don't have time for Meltzer insanity right now. Jey Uso took on Braun Breaker. This is where all of a sudden they were like, "Oh, by the way, this is all no disqualification." Yeah. And I was like, "Oh, that's kind of neat." Nice use of Bronson Reed to get out of the having to beat Jey Uso without really beating Jey Uso. And for a half second, you're a little worried too of like, "Oh, are they just making Jey Uso another guy?" Until we got to the finish.
Yes. Bronson Reed interfered and cost him the chance at that. So out comes CM Punk. He's the final entrant. And these two go back and forth. And yes, Bronson gets involved yet again. But CM Punk perseveres and takes out Braun Breaker, gets the pinfall win. Robert, it's going to be CM Punk versus Gunther. SummerSlam. Do you like it?
I do. I think that was what I had suggested yesterday as a possible outcome of this. It feels like a big-time match at SummerSlam. It's I think when I talked about it with Chaplin, he goes, "Hey, this kind of feels like a throwback to the old CM Punk Samoa Joe matches, where you're going to get a big dude chopping the hell out of Punk." And Gunther's a guy who could take care of Punk safely while still making the match feel very, very physical. And there is a scenario where if Rollins is out and injured, where you're thinking, "Hey, maybe we finally give Punk a world title win here." And we see what we get with Punk going forward, where it's Punk feuding with the evil, dangerous alliance. But the good thing is not our decision that we have to worry about. The only thing we have to worry about is being here every Monday through Friday at noon Eastern. And tomorrow, remember, Justin Barrasso will be joining Rumor and Innuendo for his Wednesday Ombudsman take on things. But you can catch us every Monday through Friday at noon Eastern on a plethora of platforms, including WW Creative _ish X account, the @SE Scoops X account, the @Dominic D'Angelo X account, and on YouTube on Rumor and Innuendo and ad-free shows. So on behalf of the guy who looks like the Todd from Scrubs, Dominic D'Angelo, I'm Robert Karpolis. Best of luck in your future endeavors.
I just got called into Coach Hervis's office. I'll be back.